This episode contains sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Culture Podcast, where we uncover the hidden mechanics of high control groups, their tactics, and their impact. And we speak with the survivors who broke free. My name is Derek, and I'm your host.
My name is Trinity, and I'm also your host. On this podcast, we explore cult life as real people who have lived through the life-changing process of leaving a high-control group.
And finally, Dustin Jetmore is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
All right, welcome back. We're really happy to have our first return guest. Welcome back to the pod, Dustin.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. For those that have not listened, I do recommend before you continue listening to this one to go check out episode 8. That's where Dustin first kind of comes on post his disassociation announcement as one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
When we did that pod, how fresh was that announcement?
Oh, I think it was just a few days later on there. I think it was within the same week. Yeah, that was very. The Band-Aid was just ripped off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time this one comes out, and obviously from the moment we're recording, it'll be a few months from that announcement date. So we just we thought it would be great to just kind of check back in and kind of see what's going on since that announcement. And so we're really appreciative to have you back on. I think we were talking your disassociation letter was July 4th.
Yes,
And we're thinking that the announcement was July 10th.
correct.
Yeah. So welcome back. Now, one of the things I do want to address too, before we get into your conversation, actually, I was thinking back our conversation. We talked about that Love Never Fails convention.
Yeah.
And
the 2019 International.
Yeah, and I did say, if we get you back on, that we should talk about that convention a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
So here we are. I also did say, of course, if you have any questions for Trent and I, this is a conversation. So, just checking in with us. If you have any questions for us, please, make that part of the conversation. Yeah, but I know with the Love Never Fails convention. So just to tell you my take on that. For those that are maybe listening for the first time, a convention that witnesses go to, they have assemblies and conventions. Normally their congregation is, 80 to 150, 200 people. An assembly can be a couple thousand people join in kind of a local arena or whatnot.
Like 3,000 to 7,000, 2,000 to 7,000 maybe.
Yeah, then they'll have a district convention. Those can be 10,000 people, although nowadays they're probably a lot smaller due to people, not wanting to be a part of this high control group anymore. But in 2019, this was my last convention I ever went to. This was what's called an international convention, and there was about 50,000 people there.
Yeah.
What stadium was it in?
It was at the Bank One ballpark. I don't know what they call it now, but
Chase Field.
Chase Field. Yeah. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. And of course it was, ridiculously hot.
Mhm.
You're wearing that full suit and tie, just sweating. But you're sweating for the Lord is what you're doing. So I was at this Love Never Fails convention. I was already starting to wake up, and I was having some anxiety and panic attacks at other assemblies and I just remember just going through it. It's really tough. I was having anxiety. I was having panic attacks. I don't really know. I think back, and I wasn't able to fully put it together mentally as to why I just felt off. I remember having to leave an assembly before we went to that convention, and I
Mhm.
just I couldn't stay any longer. Just being around these people at that convention, there was a lot going on. My dad was having heart failures. He actually had a heart attack at the convention,
Dang.
and he was
Ambulance and all.
yeah, he. So this is crazy. So this is an aside, but he had a heart attack like a week before, and they gave him one of those life vests that will shock him back to life
Yeah.
if he has another issue. And he still went to the convention. He's
Wow.
just like, a few days later, he's like, yeah, we're going. So then, of course, he has another issue, and he would have died at that convention. But that life vest brought him back. Uh,
So what this life vest thing? It'll shock you through the vest.
yeah, it'll basically like do like the paddles.
Wow.
Wow. Like a
You
defibrillator.
yeah, you're wearing the paddles at all times, and so it registers if your heart stops, it shocks it back.
That's pretty.
And so that was all. That was in addition to my anxiety of all this stuff. You start to just see things like the way they communicate, the way things happen, and you're like, this isn't lining up. Something seems off.
It's like I know exactly what you mean. It's like the veil is lifted
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're just like, this is all fucking fake,
It just
or like it doesn't vibe right.
so so not only was I having those thoughts, uh, my dad was having this heart attack. It was wild. So leading up to that, there was a few things that were happening at this convention that really started me to go like, what is going on here? This control is really weird.
Hmm.
Um, we had hosted some delegates. So what happens, my ex and I, is for those that listen that don't know, is they bring these delegates in
From all over the
from
world.
all over the world, and they kind of oh, it's so amazing to have everyone from every country, and they're wearing their traditional garb. If they're from Africa, they're wearing all the feathers and everything. If they're from Japan, they're wearing the traditional kimonos. They're really showing off the worldwide brotherhood. um, and people come in and they get hosted by people, different families, and my ex and I had the opportunity to host this couple that was actually from China, and China is banned.
Yeah.
So they actually had to say they were from South Korea.
Mm.
Um, but they told us like secretly, like, no, we're actually from China. And so we got to talking with them, and they're like, well, the preaching work is completely not allowed. Um, and where we're talking with them is out in service. So we meet with them to go out in service, and they're telling us, well, the preaching work's not allowed. So we basically can only do informal witnessing.
Hmm.
And they proceed to kind of tell me how they do informal witnessing, where they basically just lie to everyone. And
What?
because the only way that they can reach people is to act like they're not preaching. So they would just be at like coffee shops, and we're just like, oh, like we're just striking up a conversation. And it's so everything's so it's a communist country, so everything's so monitored, communications, everything, that they just had to lie their way through everything and maybe reach someone. And they were even lying to us, like unless they told me, oh no, we're actually from China. Even at the convention, they were announced as from Korea.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Now what was really something that really hit me is when we go out in service, the brothers give my ex and I strict rules. And this goes into that kind of control stuff. So, number one, when the bus pulls up with the delegates, they all tell us, hold these signs, welcome, love bomb them, welcome, everyone's coming. And so
Hmm.
we have to stand out in that 120-degree heat in Phoenix in our suits, and we're just waiting for them to arrive. And we're just miserable. And then as soon as we see the van coming, oh, so much love. We cart them in, and then they assign us a territory, and they say, work these exact houses.
Mm.
And then they give us instructions, go to this exact place for break. And then they say, this is how much time you have with these delegates. And then this is the real thing that really hit me. If for some reason they need to use a restroom, it needs to be back at the Kingdom Hall.
Wait, what?
Mm.
If they need to use the restroom, it needs to be back at the Kingdom Hall.
Okay.
And I was like, well, my house is literally just right there. Like, you're telling me, like, if they are on a street over from my own house, I can't take them in my own house to use the restroom?
Do you
Yeah.
have any idea why they would do that?
It's just control. I have no idea. They don't want maybe us to like sit them down at our own table and be like, "What's going on? Tell me,
Mm.
talk
That's
to me."
bizarre. Yeah.
It was extremely bizarre. So much control. Go out and preach here, go to here, spend this much time, take a break here, can't use the restroom, come back to the hall. It was extremely controlled. I felt really weird about it. I didn't know at the time. It's a lot of reflection later about how much control that was going on there, and I don't have any answers. But it was just really weird.
Kind of like a
And I
play-by-play book they gave you or something. That's
and yeah, and I just remember uh, having so much anxiety. So many people, they're all fake. Everyone is just being told to, hold these signs. Do this, do that. The whole messaging behind everything about how we treat these delegates, very controlled. And I remember thinking, like, I don't like this vibe. I don't like this experience at all.
I'm such an idealist that, like, I'm already thinking Jesus never I mean, I'm thinking back to like the books in the Bible where they're preaching, and like there was some level of like, go out and make disciples, but then it's not like, hey, you got to work these houses, you got to talk to these people. It wasn't like that at all, and like I would have missed the actual ability to build real camaraderie doing real field witnessing the way that we do it in America. I would have wanted to do that. Like, let's stand shoulder to shoulder. Let me show you the streets that I preach on all the time. And
Wh-
it seems like you couldn't even do that.
When it goes back to
yeah.
what you said on a previous podcast, and I'm sure you know about this as well, Dustin, like the early Bible students, they kind of did have this curiosity and zeal about the scriptures, and they just got together on their own accord to meet, to go over the Bible, to try to ascertain these teachings. And it was just like, there's none of that. We're not doing anything on our own initiative. We're going here, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then you check back in. It just seemed really controlled. So that was my little snippet on the Love Never Fails convention.
Do we remember if that's the one where they showed the video for the first time? The big video?
Mm.
No, this was like 2015 or so.
Oh, okay.
I think when they started showing that stuff. And then I don't know if you listened to the Chad interview, Dustin.
Yeah, I did.
That's a previous episode for listeners as well. I definitely recommend to listen to, because Chad also talks about that being his last convention.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Okay.
and
It's
really,
funny.
really ironic that he was like, "Gosh, love has failed me completely." Uh,
Yeah.
and this last convention is called Love Never Fails.
Yeah, it's funny because that family that he had mentioned in there, the Wolfgangs,
Hmm.
on there, when I had moved here, I was introduced to them through Joe, who was disfellowship, and he was my roommate at the
Yeah,
time. And his sister was married to Jim Wolfgang. But all those kids were super little at the time on
yeah.
that. So I just thought that was kind of funny that he,
Man, that's crazy. So you've actually like met people that he knows?
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that family. It's really funny. Yeah, because that family, in fact, Joe Robards,
I like to call
after
them brobards.
Brobards, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So after leaving, we got in contact with him again. In fact, it was kind of weird. He ended up being down here like a week after I called him, Joe Robards. So saw him, and in fact, he talked about the Wolfgangs. There's some situations that happened there that blew my mind.
Oh my, some
But
tea, some drama.
yes,
We're all
so
connected, man.
secondhand information, but I guess the son had impregnated his girlfriend, and they were to break up, and something happened, and he basically, I guess he was trying to kill himself. He was driving real fast, drove the van like off an embankment and all that, and he didn't succeed. But it was just all this
Whoa.
nonsense due to, not supposed to have a girlfriend and sleeping around, and you're Jehovah's Witness, and how dare you, and yada yada. But it's
It's crazy how small of a thing, or how a medium thing in this religion can cause someone to turn suicidal.
oh, it's terrible.
Like, no joke. I mean, he got his girlfriend pregnant, which should be a happy thing, or at least maybe a neutral.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bad thing, right? But like, I'm telling you, the pressure that we all have on us in this religion, something simple can happen and you can just snap.
Yeah.
Very much.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. It's interesting that we all have these connections. We all have people we know, and we all hear these stories. And I don't know. In my mind, these are all just natural human things that we're going through.
Yeah.
We're meeting people. We're falling in love. That loves leads to wanting to be more intimate. And that intimacy leads to a baby, and then it's just I don't
Mhm.
know. There's so much shame and guilt around all that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, like, I always measure things against the animal kingdom. And so it's like there's these natural things that animals all do. They eat. They sometimes kill other things because they need to eat. They make nests. They find partners. They have babies. They do a lot of the same things we do. And
Yeah.
usually they don't want to hurt themselves when they're doing those things.
No.
And that's what this religion does. It like twists nature and makes some people want to hurt themselves or have to make drastic changes in their lives just for doing basic human shit.
Yeah, yeah. Everything that's natural becomes bad.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can never you're never going to reach what they're expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're a natural human.
Yeah, yeah. You're a natural human, and you're going to break on those natural points, and then they're going to reprimand you for it. And yeah,
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I listened to your pod again this week, and there was something that you said that I really loved, like how when you're in the religion, it's like you're in this, you're trapped in the ocean underneath, and then as you make your way out, you like hit the sky and the sunlight, and it's a whole new world. That really that stuck with me this week.
yeah. It's been interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to ask. So, like, what's been going on since we chatted with you last? I know you made a trip to Utah,
Yeah,
and what's been going on with your immersion from the water?
it's yeah. It's been interesting. It's been good overall. It's been good and feels freeing. There's just a lot of reorganizing, uh, to put it lightly, to go through on.
Picking up the pieces and trying to put them back together
Yeah,
type thing.
yeah, or it's like, or does this even belong? Because like I said, I haven't been out that, just a few months now as far as the actual announcement. But as time goes on and further and further out, I'm really starting to see how stupid the whole Watchtower organization is, and how all the doctrine. I don't even know how much of it's even true. I'm going to say, most of it is just a bunch of just bullshit
Hmm.
on there. Yeah, it just seems like everything they always preached against and said was bad, and then you come to find out it's not at all.
Oh man, are you referencing the college?
Or call,
You
yeah,
mean
yeah,
like?
yeah. That they called that blew me. I was so mad.
Oh
I
yeah,
am
so that
so pissed about
I was
that.
gonna say, so that announcement has happened in between these conversations of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, now college is a conscience matter or what have you. And me and Derek were talking like
Yeah.
I wanted to go to college. Derek wanted to go to college.
Yes.
And I like begged my family for support, and my life would be completely fucking different had I actually gone to college whenever it was appropriate for me to, instead of now in my 30s.
Yeah.
And now it's like they ruined my life, they ruined Derek's life over that, and now it's a conscience matter.
It's
Same
it's
with the beard thing.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's funny because too, when you're listening to them, they're like, "Oh, it's a conscience matter," but then how much like guilt they interject into that new statement of saying, "Oh, you can go to college and the elders can't stop you anymore."
Well,
But
it goes in my mind, and forgive me for interrupting, but it goes back to that very crafty, clever ways that they do questioning.
Mhm.
And Trent will remember when I did this on another pod, but this is how they do it. They go, "Would you want to go to college and spend this time away from Jehovah and the ministry?"
Yeah.
They pose these questions for you to go like, well, gosh, like, well, I personally feel like I can still do my ministry and go to college. But when you pose the question like that, you really get me thinking like, oh, it is choosing between Jehovah and the ministry and saving lives and college.
Yeah.
And it's just not the reality. Like, my ex at the time went to college and she got so much shit for it.
Did she now?
Yeah, she went to medical school and graduated and from my understanding still is a nurse, but she got so much shit for it, dude. Her family did, her parents did.
See, I don't get that.
Dude, you know what's crazy, Dustin? You probably don't know this, but like I was best friends with his ex before they got together, and I specifically remember her starting to go through that college process and like watching her sometimes do like schoolwork. That's crazy that I have that memory at all of your ex.
Well, and it was like, whoa, like you're going to college? It was very like, whoa, that's interesting. But
Yeah.
her brain, like the way her brain works, she needed college. She needed schooling, she needed structure.
Hmm.
So I'm sure her parents are like, we needed to make sure that you're um I don't know. I don't know how to phrase it. We need to make sure that you're on the right path to use your brain correctly.
Hmm.
Uh, so obviously it worked out well for her, but like I said, she got shit for it.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that's really interesting and as you get out for a few months, you've talked about in the past, watching some of these videos, listening to podcasts, and I think it's really easy to kind of get in a mindset of anger. Do you feel like you kind of inhabit that the anger over everything?
Over certain things, I've allowed well, I shouldn't say even allowed. I think there's really just been certain things I've been angry about. And it's all over. There's a lot of things that you're sad about. And there's a lot of things you're angry about. I try not to really get too angry at certain things. For instance, allowing them to go to college, or just certain things in the past. But I just find that the anger takes so much time and energy, and almost distorts other stuff too. But then also talking with the therapist, she's always like, it's okay to be angry at certain things, and
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to let that out.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I don't know, I think we're taught, and especially men are taught, kind of how to manage your emotions and kind of bury things to some extent. And I'm a big believer too in that same concept of like be angry, but how do you process and react to that anger? How do you display the anger? How do you sit with that anger?
Yeah.
It's one thing to be angry and then punch the wall, but it's another thing to be angry and go, why am I angry? What is causing this anger? What additional emotions is this bringing up? Is it bringing up frustration? Is it bringing up guilt? And kind of just going through all of those emotions, and then connecting the pieces. Because I think eventually when you go through that angry and you're sitting in it and you're pissed and maybe you're crunching a can, you eventually start to walk yourself through that path and go, okay, I feel better. And then now, where can I move forward with this anger? How do I, because you said it, Dustin, it's like, dude, we only have so much time. How long are we going to sit with the limited amount of time we may have in anger?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of people, and I think a lot of XJWs or ex Mormons or ex cult members who may be listening, we all understand that there's a lot of people that never get out of the anger phase.
That's a question I have, Dustin. So, like, from the last time we saw you, do you feel more angry today or less angry or same?
Ooh, ooh. I'm going to say the same, not as a A, B, and C questionnaire, but yeah, I'd say the same. But
Yeah.
it gets directed at different things at different times. it's
Mm.
it's kind of like the bipolar stage. There's some days that are really good, and you're like, yeah, I got this, and things are going to move forward. And then you'll have a day that you wake up and you're like, oh my God, this is so much work trying to restructure your life, and just all the weird, I don't know, the weird, because I even come across, so we went to uh, a restaurant the other day. It's just a little bagel shop. So we go there. It was on Saturday, right? And before we get there, I was thinking, I go, man, you know what? I know they all like to take breaks and stuff, and sometimes they'll break here. I wonder if anybody will be here. Well, sure enough, man, lo and behold, like three of them show up, and I'm sitting there with, it's me, Janelle, and my youngest boy, and we're just sitting there eating. And they come in, and of course, they won't look. I mean, it's a small place. It's small.
Yeah.
It's maybe, I don't know, 250 square feet at max, right? So you're in this little tiny place. They're standing there. They won't even look at me, and or look at my kid. And then one of them kind of comes over and stands like right next to our table, just as kind of like a, I'm going to show you one, or you dumb shit. I don't know what they were trying to do, but it was just very.
Did you know them?
Oh yeah. I'd been in their houses. I've been over for dinner. Petter the
And
horses.
and
Yeah.
for those that may not understand what he's talking about, he's being shunned because he decided to disassociate from the religion, or officially say, I no longer want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. That he has an announcement on the platform inside the congregation Kingdom Hall, the church, and you get shunned. Like, they literally don't acknowledge you.
Immediately.
They don't talk with you. And so sorry to cut you off, but I want you to continue, but it's a
Yeah.
horrible feeling.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're doing it to such a degree. I think it was drawing more attention than what they were trying to do. Just the fact because the room's so small, and you're obviously completely trying not to. It was funny because they were trying not to look at you, even though they were standing right there, because there's not a whole lot of room. But as long as they're not looking at you, I guess I can't affect them. But what I think really pissed me off, though, was I had my youngest son there. He was never baptized. He was never a publisher. He hasn't done anything wrong. He hasn't, announced losing his faith to any of these people or anything. But yet he gets shunned as well as a little 13-year-old kid.
It's an echo of your childhood with your mom.
Yeah, just sitting there, and and it really, really pissed me off. Because same thing with him too. He knew who these people were.
There's a scripture that specifically talks about, it's like, how long will the sons have to pay for the sins of their father? And I forget who wrote it. I think it was in the Old Testament, but it was this idea of like, the fathers are the ones who sin. You shouldn't hold it against the sons, because I guess that was happening. But like, that just happened.
Yeah.
Like, your son, like you said, is an innocent being punished and shunned for choices you've made.
Yeah.
Well, I have two questions with that. It's very curious, and one statement, obviously, dude. Trent and I feel your pain, man. Like,
Yep.
It's like it's one of those things that many people that have been through this weird experience. I totally feel your pain, man. It's really weird. It's a weird experience where people, and I don't think there's malice at times. It's like they legit don't know what to do. It's awkward. They think that they're gonna somehow die in Armageddon. They're always gonna pick God over you. So I try to give grace with that, but it's a horrible experience. But I guess my two questions were: is one, what was kind of the full range of emotions you did feel, and two, did you guys kind of chat about that experience afterwards, like you and the family?
Yes. Yeah. So I guess they answered the first part. Wait, what was the first part again?
What range of emotions
what
did
range
you
of
feel?
emotions? Yes. Dude, I was pissed. I was really. I almost kind of like wanted to stand up and say, "Hey, how's it going?" Or like try to shake their hands or do something.
You wanted to take some authority back.
Yeah.
Some agency.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was just it was the scenario and the situation that we were in. It's one thing to be at like a big Costco or something. You see, someone across the aisle or whatever, and you go a different way. But to be standing in such a small area where they're right next to you, and you could, just lean over and poke them, and you're being treated as you don't exist, or you're such gutter filth, I can't even look at you.
Yeah.
And that's basically the feelings you get in there, and it's not, especially now, it's not a feeling of like shame or like I feel guilty. I didn't feel any of those. Like, in fact, guilt has almost dissipated from any of the things that, was
great,
stuck to me before.
The weird mindset, and I do want to get to the second question I asked you, so don't forget that. But the weird thing I've gone to, and I don't know where you're at, Trent, is the farther you're away from you get about it and you go like, dude, you have no control over me. I'm just going to talk to you anyways.
Yep.
It's like, hey, bud.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when I was angry where I wanted to talk to them just to flex on them, because I can handle myself socially and I know how to make people uncomfortable, and I just wanted to make them feel uncomfortable. And then now I would talk to them just because I don't give a fuck. I actually just don't care. And I
Yeah,
might not even talk to them at all.
I wouldn't do it out of malice. I would genuinely do it like you're a human being, I'm a human being. I don't believe in your rules, so I'm just going to talk to you because I know you.
Mm-hmm.
We've sat together, we've broke bread together, we've gone to concerts together, whatever. Like, I know you, you weirdo. I'm gonna call you
Yeah.
dumb weirdo. You're you're doing dumb weirdo stuff. I'm gonna pinch you and I'm gonna make you laugh, and then you're gonna feel awkward about it, and you're gonna go talk to elders. And
Yeah.
next time I see you, I'm gonna say the same thing, you big weirdo. Well, I know you.
Uh-huh.
But I couldn't do that early on. I was still too connected to it.
Yeah.
So my second question, did you and the family kind of chat about that experience afterward? How did that go?
Yeah, we did. Well, actually, we ended up because they were still there and we left when we were done. Because that was, like you were saying, I didn't want to. I mean, even though you feel uncomfortable regardless because it's just a bizarre, stupid situation. And but yeah, I didn't want to leave just because I felt uncomfortable. I was like, hey, I'm a human being. I don't need to feel like this. So you're kind of fighting against some of those emotions and things. But yeah, when we got in the car, Janelle and I were just like, I can't believe that. That was just so stupid, so ridiculous, over the top, kind of a thing. And I think she had noticed too, like they kind of hesitated to come in because they saw us there, and then it was kind of like, well, and then they just decided to make the decision coming in anyways.
What I think is interesting is that like they felt uncomfortable too because it is weird. It kind of like breaks the social contract, and they're being forced to do something that they don't want to do either necessarily.
Exactly. But yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about, even my youngest son too, he was asking questions. He goes, really? They can't, talk to you or that, and he noticed they weren't looking, and he goes, well, why don't they look at you? And I go, that's just the people themselves. There's nothing that says, oh, you can't look at them. Just people will take that as, oh no, now they might have to converse with you or smile or you give some sort of human response, to your existence. So they just choose not to look at you.
Yeah. Yeah, you almost play the game and talk to them and be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about going back to meetings." and then they're conflicted because the new direction is, you can talk to them if they're going to be at the meetings. So yeah, so I kid. I said on the last podcast that I think down the road I could go to another memorial again and partake. But I wouldn't do it as like an angry apostate or whatever. I would just, I had that feeling, that I'm anointed. But I know that probably also is probably a bad thing to do it's still kind of a sacred, occasion for everyone, but it's just like, dude, I don't believe in the sacred stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't have the same level of awe and kind of, I don't have that mindset. But yeah, I would say just take back that agency, man. It's just like, stop being weird.
Yeah.
Just because I don't believe anymore doesn't mean I'm not a human. I don't exist.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and order him a coffee and say, hey, just like brother, what was it, Franz who wrote Crisis of Conscious?
Brother Franz.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Franz
like
Ferdinand.
just like Franz Ferdinand. We're gonna sit down and have coffee together. We're gonna eat together. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. It's
So,
funny when you said, about the memorial. I remember, just as, waking up and coming out, I was thinking to myself, like, well, I can't imagine not ever going to the memorial. It's like, all right, I'll get out of the religion, but I think I'll still respect that. And then you start finding out all the different things. And then that goes right by the wayside. Because I think even before I disassociated myself, the memorial came up and I'm like, I'm not going. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
So it was funny how fast that dissipated. Same with like birthdays and all that. Because Maddox had a birthday, so we celebrated that.
Happy 19.
Yeah, no, he was 13. Owen turned 19.
Oh, gotcha.
Just recently. Yeah, too. So he had In fact, we got a cake. I don't know if they're eating it today or tomorrow.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah. Congrats, man.
doing that. There's some great neighbors down the road from us, and had some dinners over there and had some people over here.
I think it's easier said than done, but if you're going to stay put, which I'm sure we'll talk about as we chat, but you just take it back, man. You know, your neighbors that live close to you, you know, Ryan or whatever, like you just like head high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you could just keep being weird all you want. I'm living my life.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, it's hard to do. But it does get easier.
Yeah. Speaking of that too, he ran into Janelle, Ryan, around the corner and actually talked to her.
Oh.
Yeah, which was surprising. So he went up to her, but it was all about, you know, hey, how's you, you know, how are you guys doing? And, you know, how's Dustin? He goes, but hey, I'm giving a Sunday talk and I want to invite you to come to your watch.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
well,
so
I mean, he technically can still talk to her because she has not been disfellowshipped.
Exactly.
So he's in that weird gray area.
Mm-hmm.
You think he counted time?
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, at least he checked that box that he, witnessed.
That's another thing that's tough because, you know, in his mind, you know, she's kind of a lost soul. She's kind of wandering away. She's a lost sheep. You know, you're taking her with you. And if I could just say, you know, the right words to bring her back to the fold, back to the congregation, you know, come and just listen to this talk and, you know, everything will be good again. You know, you'll hear the right words and things will be back lined up for you. And it's just like, dude,
yeah,
you don't even know what's going on, man.
Well, I'm sure there's been many discussions of, oh, poor Janelle, you know, and poor Maddox. And,
yeah,
you know, this is probably the worst case scenario they could be in.
Yeah. Well, what has surprised you the most so far? Has there been some surprising things? Has there been some tough kind of healing going on? Where are you at with all that?
I've been very surprised about how nice people are.
Like worldly people, quote unquote.
Yeah, the worldly people.
Yeah.
For instance, a couple days ago, Owen started, you know, his film school, and a tire blew. Basically, there at the college, so he calls me at work, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'll be down there, and I'll put your spare on. So run down there, help him do that. And so, anyways, I'm going to put the spare on, and the spare, like, I couldn't really get it on right. And lo and behold, it was totally my fault. But there was like a spacer under there because it's kind of like the car's lowered a little bit and stuff. I bought it from his sister-in-law, so she had this thing all decked out. But so I put the spare on, and I get the nuts in there. Everything feels tight and good. And I just tell him, I'm like, hey, look, just don't go on the freeway. I don't really trust the tire, 100%. It just didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And so after school was over, he was leaving, and he was taking Hayden on the way home instead of taking the freeway. And that tire came off right in the middle of Hayden, which is a big road.
Oh,
and
boy.
So some guy saw it, and he pulls over to get behind him, to kind of direct traffic. And he calls the fire department. So the fire department gets there, takes place of that. He ends up getting a tow truck there to come help him. It was amazing. I didn't know this guy from anybody.
Yeah, that's scary. Man.
So he gets the tow truck there. He got, the fire truck there, took care of Owen, just helped out. In fact, he called me too. He had his kids with him in the car, so I wasn't really worried about him, taking my 19-year-old. But yeah, it was just awesome, to see that.
The community coming together.
Yeah. And there's just some people that I've known, throughout, living here in the neighborhood for so long. And now that I don't have that wall up, that you start to throw up after you get to know people because you're a Jehovah's Witness and you can only go so far. Now with having that down, I find all my discussions with people are different. My mannerisms are different. Just the demeanor and subject topics, they're all different.
It's interesting you bring that up. Trent, did you have something, Trent?
No.
It's interesting you bring that up because I hadn't really thought about that before. And the nice thing about these conversations is that it does re-bring things to mind. But because we were always taught to not be a part of this world, even as something as simple as like a neighbor and a neighbor conversation, you just were always taught like, be friendly, but don't really ever connect. There's never going to be an opportunity to genuinely connect with this neighbor.
Keep it surface level.
Very surface level, very kind, very friendly. But it will never be more. Like you're never working towards like, oh, maybe we could be friends one day. Maybe we could invite them over for dinner, or maybe they, down the road they'd invite us over. Like you're never mentally even making that an equation in your head.
Mm-hmm.
The
And I
only
think
time
that
you would do that,
subconsciously, I think people subconsciously start to pick up on that after a while too.
yeah, they may have conversations like, yeah, they seem nice, but they're just kind of doing their own thing. They
Yeah.
don't, you know. But I was gonna say the only time you'd ever do that is if you're like, I think we can convert them.
Yeah.
I think we can preach to them. They seem like, oh, there's an opportunity that maybe, if it's a female neighbor, like, oh, maybe wife, maybe you could sit down with her and go over an article, or it's just never like a genuine connection.
Mm-hmm.
I, I, I remember for myself, I would let myself hang out with people if they would let me in some way talk about something spiritual where I could justify it as like, oh, I'm bringing them stealth message, like I'm cool, I'm being friendly and stuff. I can sneak in something about the Bible here and there.
And you're
That's how I
counting
justify
time.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
counting time all day.
Yeah, I try to do that with my brother-in-law because he was one of my. We were super good friends. We go backpacking a lot and things, and just do all kinds of stuff. But he was never really religious, and I remember always trying to to tell him. In fact, I remember telling him one time, I'm like, it's not Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't really have rules and things. It's more or less just principles. Because I remember them always saying that. Oh, it's, we have principles. We have principles. And now looking back on that, I'm like, it's almost better to have rules than it is to have these stupid principles, because then now you're allowing everybody to judge you even more, all in the gray area of this principle. So
Well, you probably look back and you're like, no way there were so many rules. What was I thinking? There's so
right?
many
Yeah.
rules.
It just shows how mind fucked you are
Yeah.
when you're in there. You're just thinking everything's all hunky dory, and I this is one thing it keeps getting clearer and clearer to me. So I think therapy is much needed to kind of help see through some of this. It's helped me a lot on there, but I think it's almost impossible to heal oneself in that organization, because you can never get to the root of the problem. In fact, you can't even acknowledge the problem, because generally what the problems are, you're not supposed to believe in or have around anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, not having that, what are you supposed to do?
You never get to it.
Yeah.
Do you mind discussing some of the stuff that you're talking about in therapy, or you want to keep that to yourself for now?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, some of the things it's especially dealing with the past Jetmore stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that, I don't think that would ever. I don't think I would have ever found the root of the problems, or seen them as much of a problem as they really were, without coming out of there. Because when people I don't know, love you and discipline you and do everything in the name of Jehovah, it's so hard to see the wrong within them, even though something's wrong, something's
Sure.
off, but you can't get to that unless you get out of it.
Yeah, it's a constant association. It's always there. I think a big thing for you too, which you admitted to, which was a big part of you waking up, is finally disconnecting from your stepfather, that rule over you, that authority over you, where you finally were able to go, wait a minute, like I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh yeah, and it's been absolutely huge, and it's been nice, because just as time goes on, you can feel yourself finally working on it and putting it into its place, and understanding, where a lot of these pains came from, because it just felt like I was walking around with so many of them, and I couldn't figure out what was really the whole root of the problem, because there was too much of that JW fuzz all over everything.
It's so great to hear that you're going with that, man. I think some people want to try to get through this and navigate this on their own. But the fact that you like immediately sought out, a therapist, someone who also had experience with cults,
Yeah.
I think it's huge, man.
Yeah.
And Trent and I talk, not that they need to have that experience, but it can help. It doesn't hurt.
No, absolutely. And it's kind of nice too, just to have somebody who's not within that organization, not really necessarily validate, but also have examples of other religions and things that people have gone through very similar. So it kind of also makes the Jehovah's Witnesses not unique as I thought they were when I was in them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think like all their teachings are so unique and all that, but in reality, it's just another put together, a cult or high control group, just like
Mm-hmm.
all these other ones. But, as you're in there, you think that's your whole world.
Yeah.
When you were talking about like not being able to heal from the inside, I
Yeah.
think it's partially because the way you're forced to live is so unnatural. Like we were talking about how the animals in nature, everything is just they live and it's fine. But like you can't heal yourself in a group that's constantly outcasting other groups and saying they're all going to die and you're going to live, and you're preaching a doomsday message
Mm-hmm.
from an angry God, like
Mm-hmm.
how can you heal yourself in an environment like that where you're
Well,
outcast?
the imagery I think of is like, that your leg is hurting, and maybe needs to be amputated. You're like, I know this is the problem, and they're like, but yeah, but the only way you'll get to salvation is the leg's got to stay.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
so you're like, well, I can't address the leg at all because that's what I need to stay in order to make it.
Exactly.
it's a trap.
Yeah, so you turn to all these other things when the root cause is like, gotta amputate that fucking leg, man.
Mm-hmm.
AKA the organization.
Yep.
I was going to ask about any triggers in the past since we've talked to you. Has anything just instantly put you back to being a witness or
Um,
made you think of them?
well, there's one thing that really kind of ticked me off a couple times, and what that was some of the elders' wives reaching out to Janelle. That like triggered me instantly. It put me like into the whole thing where the elders are above you.
Yeah.
They're sending their wives in, you know, not respecting me as a husband or head of my household as they would put it.
And it's also like, where have you been?
Yeah, and it's kind of like
All of a sudden, the ladies are chatting with
yeah, and then
Janelle.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you didn't really care about her before, or
Yeah.
this deeply.
How is she doing?
She's doing all right. It's weird because I think because in the organization, you're taught you're supposed to be a threefold cord. You got Jehovah in there. You're here's this strand. You're one strand, the husband, the wife's the other strand, and you wrap them together, and then you wrap Jehovah around there. You got a nice rope that's all strong. Well, I think coming out of this, what I'm starting to feel, or for my situation, is it got a little scary because I realized we don't have to be married anymore.
Oh fuck. Yep. When you start to have those realizations, you feel so insecure.
Oh my gosh.
Like you're now no longer in your relationship because Jehovah's trapped you in there as part of the cord. You're in there because you want to be.
Exactly. Yeah, and you start to not rely on it, but it's been there for so long. You're like, she's not going to leave me.
Yeah.
Because we're married, we're in the organization. It would taint it, and not to say that I would ever rely on that rule or anything. It just was always there.
It's a sense of security, maybe like a little. That I mean, y- people get divorced all the time in the witnesses, but I mean, I just was raised thinking that's a huge stain on your social credit. Like if you get divorced, it's going to be hard to find a wife.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Like there's all this social pressure.
yeah.
Have you guys talked about
Oh,
this?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Just well, because what had happened too is like when those women called in, because I'm more, I'll stand up for what I believe in, and I would tell you if anybody called me and asked, and said, well, why are you doing this? I would let them know. But she's more thinks of their feelings and just doesn't want to get into it or tell them, why she left or any of that. So, to me in my mind, I was like, oh no, you're going to go back and, you're going to go back to the witnesses because maybe, you haven't really decided you wanted to leave yet or not. So
Yeah.
that kind of, those were kind of triggering for me. But after you kind of just accept the fact that they're with you because they want to be with you, and I'm still learning
Yeah.
that you can kind of let go.
Well, and I think in my mind too, there's two separate things going on. She's with you as your partner and has been with you as your partner, since the beginning of, your relationship, obviously. but she's also navigating this separate thing known as the witnesses.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They're two separate things. Just as you had to come to your own determination when you need to pull the trigger, you know, she has to kind of navigate that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's hard.
And I think it's breaking that cord, you know, that threefold cord. You know, it's like you realize how dumb that is, and how damaging
Yeah.
that is to even relationships. You know, because you're
Yeah.
constantly like trying to make sure you're always in unison with everything. You know, and if it's not, you know, something's going to go bad or wrong, your relationship's going to fall apart, or you know, or you're going to get talked to because you know me and my family aren't all on the same page. So it's very distressing when that starts to happen. At least it had been for me, you know, kind of just watching her and I take a different path as far as how we're going to approach this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I was just kind of like, oh no, she's going to do it different than I am. That means she's going to leave me, you know. So it was very, it felt very insecure, like just incredibly
Yeah.
insecure.
I think you find, I don't know, I guess, how do I even say this? I think you find as you start to find who you are, as long as you discover who you are, and this applies for Janelle as well, as long as you discover who you are together, you can still be together and separate.
Yes.
You know, and I don't think that was a really good concept in the religion. It was like, no, this is the structure.
It was so the opposite. Like, this is like relationship dynamics and stuff
Mhm.
that I've unpacked in therapy, you know, but like you're basically codependent on an invisible sky daddy as a huge part of your relationship
Oh,
whenever you're in that threefold
yeah.
cord.
That's a good way to put it. Yep.
And so then when you strip that out, it's like, oh shit, it's just you and me now, dog.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how I treat you matters. And there's no more, you know, maybe I'm not the head of household in the same way anymore. I've lost some, we'll call it power in the relationship. And there's like a great equalizer.
Who are we kidding? Janelle had all the
No,
power.
always, always.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
hard thing to unpack, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and along those lines, sorry to cut you off, Trent. Like, have you guys found, or are you kind of in the process of finding new ways of connecting, maybe spiritually, emotionally, even practically? How's that going?
Yeah, yeah. I think we're just trying to figure that out. I mean, it's not like it's like chaos here or anything, but it's more or less just trying to figure out what are our roles here.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I think it's both of you guys know too. You know, being when you're in the organization, is how many. Not all the guys go chauvinist,
Yeah,
but a lot do.
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot do.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, this isn't my situation, but I was just like, man, I can't imagine if you were one of those chauvinist dudes and then you fell out, you know, and now you're gonna feel like you've been kicked in the teeth because that's not
Yeah.
the way you treated your wife. Then is not gonna fly in the real world.
I think it reminds me of Natty's conversation where she was talking about her father. Her father just used the mechanics to be himself,
Which was controlling.
you know, to be controlling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But deep down, that's just who he was. He just found a framework for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of these dudes, if like you deep down are a narcissist asshole, and you're like, oh, this will work really well within the confines of these rules in this religion,
Oh gosh, man, that
uh,
religion's perfect for narcissists.
it's perfect for you.
Perfect.
And you're also probably, if you do find yourself having some sort of awakening, you're more than likely still going to be that same person. You're just going to, you know, oh shit, I don't have this rule set anymore.
Yeah.
You know, how am I going to find a new way? But I think thankfully all three of us, I was never, I was never like that. You know, I read this head of the household shit and I was like, let's collaborate. Let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
You know, I just, it never sat well with me.
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly, I'll get personal. So like my dad was ex-military growing up. And so I can't say I was like a chauvinist, but I took the head of household role really seriously. And I was like, dude, Jesus is on my ass. Like he's looking at everything I'm doing and I'm going to do this shit right and lead my family the way they say I should. And I regret it. I regret a lot of it now. Like they really impress on you how the hierarchy works, like Jehovah and then Jesus and then the congregation and then you, buddy. And if you fuck it up, we're going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt a lot of pressure to not run like a military household, but like I cared and I tried to be the leader that I was
Mhm.
supposed to be. And then it's just funny because my relationship now is a complete 180 of that, and I've never been happier.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably fighting deep down just your own self, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, even because growing with the Jetmores, because Mike Jetmore's dad was very. I mean, he could be the poster child for chauvinist, and so they learned it. So Mike had learned it from them, and when we would go around him, there was a lot of times like he would interject himself between me and Janelle to disturb it because he was seeing that I wasn't taking control over her.
Mhm.
And so that always caused
Yeah.
problems. It was always for me. It was always a fight. The Jetmores with my wife because they would try to come in between that, and I don't know, it's just a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Was he an elder?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, so he's claiming elder rank and Colin rank,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, and just being an asshole to take control and you get in there, and then you always get these little things like, well, maybe you shouldn't let them do that, or you don't need to listen to her. And next thing you know, you're coming back from vacation and you both hate each other because you had this guy in the middle messing everything up. And
Yeah.
So you're doing therapy. How many sessions have you had?
I do one a week, so I probably had about 6 so
Okay.
far.
Have you have you found any other things that kind of help ground you? You know, mindfulness, community service, books?
I went and got some books on meditation. I'd always been super interested in meditation, like in the chakras and all that. And of course, you're not supposed to touch any of those books. And
Yeah.
so recently, I went downtown because I like that big giant library down there. And I got a couple books on just yoga and meditation.
That's
And so, but I've been finding that has been helping quite a bit. Just like
yeah.
when my head gets all jumbled up with all these you know, like I said, you're just rearranging a lot of things. At least I am.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
by doing that, helps kind of just calm the brain down a bit.
Isn't it funny, like now being out and you're like dipping your toe into yoga for the first time, and like how satanic some witnesses would think yoga
Oh my
is?
gosh. Yeah. Janelle, she went to a class one time just as like a stretching yoga class, and she got all
Yeah.
kinds of shit
Yeah.
because she went
Oh
to
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Like, what?
I if I would have heard, I would have definitely gave her shit. She was giving me shit for just having a beard, so yeah.
Yeah. Demon yoga stuff.
Yeah, how dare
Yeah.
her do that? I can't believe she was judging me.
Right.
Uh, what about relatives? How's that been going? Have you had any kind of relatives or old friends reach out, or
Um,
how's that been?
Nothing. Well, just a few. I think I'd mentioned them in my last podcast, but one
Yeah,
friend, Matt, I'd known him since, gosh, we were like 16, and just really, good friends. We're best friends for a long time. But yeah, so with him, some of my old roommates, just a few other people that have kind of popped up through Instagram, and it's kind of funny because it's been people that have been following you or the podcast,
oh yeah,
so they're on the podcast, and then, yeah, and then I'm like, no way, they're out too. I had no idea. Like Elijah's sister, or Elijah's passed, but Abby, yeah, I
yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
she
yeah.
had stepped out, and then Janelle kind of, she's been talking with her the last few days. So
That's
yeah,
great. Yeah, Abby's gonna eventually be on the podcast. We just chatted with Sierra, and she's related
mm-hmm.
to Abby. So yeah, so there's all it's the same. We go back. I mean, there's so many connections, and
Yeah,
and that's the really great thing is once you open yourself up to kind of reveal yourself. Gosh, there's a community, man. There really is.
mm-hmm.
You know, there's more people out than you realize, and it's growing, which is really great.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's great to see that.
yeah, and like you're asking about as far as family. I mean, as far as the Jetmore family, I haven't heard from one, nothing. So no text, no calls, no letters, nada.
And they know that you're disassociated
Yeah,
now.
yeah, they do know. So, and that's why, yeah, there's no, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever contact me. I kind of hope not, because it's kind of, it's one of those relationships, or it's like the dog that bites you, right? Don't keep putting your hand in the dog's mouth because he's going to keep biting you.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with that family. Just don't keep going there because they're just going to keep hurting you over and over and over again, because they're never going to change. So
Yeah.
that but by the disassociation, if you did those two things for me, sign them off for me, and it signed off the witnesses, and yeah.
How are you feeling about your decision with a little bit more distance from it? How's the weight of everything?
It's probably the best decision I could have made. Um, I just wish I wasn't 45 years old when I made that decision.
Yeah, I
That's
hear
when
you.
I just been grappling with, a lot of
I
things.
hope to never be 45. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm 46 now, so
Yeah.
I just turned, in July. So now I'm 46. But you're just like, God, that's a long time. That's a long
It's a
time to be
long
in all
time.
that bullshit. And now I got like what 20 good years left. So you're like, what do I don't know. It just I feel anxious because it's like I feel like I need to hurry up and get out there and do stuff. And then at the same time, I'm like, no,
Mhm.
no, just slow down, man. Because I don't want to get myself like caught up in something I don't really want to be in.
Me personally, I found like I felt the exact same thing you were feeling, and then I immediately went, "I'm glad I'm not 7."
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's really easy to kind of put yourself in the moment of time you're at, but if you can kind of go like, "Geez, well, I could be way older, so I'm so thankful I'm not."
That's a
Um,
good way of looking at it, but I also think it's a really traumatic thing when you realize X amount of years have been taken from me,
yeah,
or not.
Yeah,
I was forced to live in a different way than I wanted to. It's trauma and pain, you know?
absolutely.
I I do find though that yes, we still have to live our daily lives, and Dustin, obviously you have a lot more responsibilities as a father and a business owner and all those things which we've talked about. But gosh, there's just this amazing level of curiosity now. I'm excited to hear, how your meditation will go if you pursue that. And you may find like, oh, I dabbled in it, it's not for me. Or, it was helpful in the moment, but it kind of passed.
Hmm.
Gosh, it's for me, it's a childlike curiosity I could continue to try to tap wherever I go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, no. What you just said, and that's one thing. Uh, I think is a nice little jewel out of all that. You
Hmm.
get a pass to relive some of your teenage years, even though it sounds like a bummer. But like you said, that childhood curiosity, and
And I think it's like for me, it's like okay, dive into these weird things.
hmm.
Like if you truly find out what you believe, check out that Ouija board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read the Satanic Bible.
I was just gonna say, dude, like the most curious and like excited that I felt was when I actually read the Satanic Bible for the first
Yeah.
time. Because it's like the crux of the anti-witness book. And I was excited when I read it. It was crazy. I haven't read anything like, and I mean, I think it's more of like an interesting hot take on religion. And if anyone has read it, you know what I mean. It's not like it's an actual book to Satan. It's actually about how most people in religions are charlatans.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I just remember how excited I was to read it and how I felt like guilty, kind of,
Mhm.
and butterflies the whole time. But that's the spice of life for me now, is like just being able to dive into anything.
Yeah.
I like to rotate things where I'm like, oh, I want to learn a little bit about the Wiccans. I want to learn a little bit about Buddhism. I want to learn a little bit about Plato. I continue to cycle through all these philosophies of history and just go, gosh, there's such a wide, vast variety of topics to learn
Hmm.
with an open mind that I never had before.
Yeah.
Because it was always just whatever they were feeding us, I was going to kind of put in my brain.
Yeah. I was even thinking about doing a lot more research into evolution.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, because in reality, I don't know anything. I mean, other than what you're taught in high school.
Yeah.
Because why give it a second thought when you're a Jehovah's Witness?
Well, and I actually to say it too is I'm sure that there are some people listening that are Christian, and they might hear try a Ouija board or read the Satanic Bible, and they're very like, oh boy, like what am I listening to?
I think that's a symptom of how the thumb was pressed so much on us that we're even talking about this stuff. Because when the thumb is pressed on you so hard, you got to press back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just an open, genuine curiosity, and if you have to understand, maybe listeners who do believe in Christ and kind of that structure, and anyone that does believe, like, I've said this before. I'm thankful that you found that belief and that is helpful for your life's journey. But for those that don't believe, you have to understand, like, if I don't believe in your God and your religion, these things to me are more fairy tales or just a curiosity. So it doesn't carry the same weight. So I no longer get worried about, oh my gosh, if I use this Ouija board, a devil's going to get me.
Yeah.
Or we all remember being taught, oh, this article of clothing had a demon attached to it. Or we heard all the stories growing up, like, you got to get rid of that thing, you got to burn it, you got to trash it.
Smurfs.
Smurfs, yeah, all this weird shit that we remember growing up, and they're all just tales to scare us, man.
Yeah.
So, but if you do believe, I don't mean to make you feel uncomfortable, but this is kind of the reality of private conversations, is we will speak this way. um just because we don't believe, we don't carry the same belief.
What you're saying, like too with the demons and whatnot. What's been kind of exciting for me lately too is taking. How would you put this? I guess, like you said, like they're more fairy tales to you, right? So taking all that nastiness or the demonic part out of demonism. How would you say that? You take that out of there, and then you can start to apply it to like different sciences, like
Mhm.
quantum physics and all these different things that they're finding out. And it's been really exciting for me to say, because I've always been super interested into the I don't know, the mysteries of what's out there.
Sure.
But it's kind of neat where I could take some of these different theories and really dive into them and try to apply them to these different things and figure this out for myself, and things that are going to fit and theories that I can support without being told to.
Yeah,
And that is, yeah, and that's a new feeling
It's an
for me.
exciting time for you, man.
that's great. I mean, you're that the sometimes the fun times are doing the YouTube deep dive where the algorithm just takes you, man.
Yeah.
You're watching a video about, quantum mechanics, and then it leads you to a video about the astral plane, and then it leads you to a video about
Simulation theory.
simulations theory or the double slit theory, and you're just like,
Whoa. Yeah.
what is going on, man?
Right?
This
Yeah.
is great. I feel like the dude.
It's like modern day mysticism.
Well, I found it was very hard to talk to any witnesses about a lot of those things.
Oh yeah.
I have, there was a few that you would come across that were kind of open minded and into even those different realms. And I think why a lot of them were to stay away is because it just shows how foolish the religion really is. Because I mean, if you were to think deep enough into the quantum realm, the whole paradise and all that other stuff makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Like, just none of it adds up. It's like this doesn't follow anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely something. I think most people that would identify with a religion, not just Jehovah's Witnesses, would, they're justifiably taught, don't go down that lane.
Mhm.
Just don't. You don't want to dabble in that. There's some danger to it, and I totally understand why. I really do. But we're not under those confines anymore. So you do have that freedom and joy to kind of travel down whatever road you may find. And to be honest, your internal clock or guidance system will eventually find a topic that's off limits. You know what I mean? You'll find something, and you're like, I don't really want to go down that path anymore.
Right.
Hey, I have a question. Have you watched your first horror movie yet?
Oh yeah, I did. Oh gosh, I've actually watched quite a few.
Hell yeah. Okay, I did the same thing. The Ritual is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I did it feeling like not guilty. Yeah, it was awesome. And I'm like, hey, look, I don't have demons walking around my house.
Yeah, look, I'm fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've watched quite a few. I can't even tell you how many now.
I have to imagine someone that has always been born secular, like never, they were raised in a family that was not religious. They're probably just like, you
What the-
dumb idiots.
Yeah.
You guys, I think it's the interesting thing, which most people who are religious don't realize, is like, dude, there's over like 10,000 gods.
Yeah. How can one be right?
Uh huh.
You know what I mean? Like, there's some gods where like if you're in Japan and you believe in Shinto, like each different thing can be inhabited by a different entity, and they assign there's a god for this flower and there's a god for this rock. And from my understanding, I may be off for people that are into Shinto and they're like, ah, you got it wrong. I apologize, but the mindset is like, dude, there's thousands of gods, and it's like, because you were born in America, you're Christian.
Yeah.
If you were born in Japan, you would probably be Buddhist or Shinto.
The locale and time that you inhabit greatly determines your religious beliefs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like, if you were raised in this mindset, you would never use critical thinking skills to even think about that thought process. You would just go, well, of course we have the truth. We have the true God. But that is the joy, to go take a step back and go like, oh, let me find what God and what kind of version of God, is right for me, what spirituality is right for me. So that's been no doubt a fun experience for you over the last few months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's for sure. I mean, I was going to ask you guys too, like if you went through this, like after the initial shock, right, of finding out just all the silliness of all this. That, because I feel like I've gone through all that. I found out not everything, but you find out it's all just a bunch of lies, and the initial shock is starting to die down, and it's almost kind of like like I said, you're trying to put things away. Where do you put this and that? But I almost just not at a complete standstill, but you're just like, wow, what am I to do? And it's not necessarily the standstill of like letting an animal free out of the cage and to run.
Do you know what it makes me think about? You remember in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when they finally get to that big room,
Yeah.
full of candy?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the doors opened, and as a child, that door opens, and you're set free to eat all of the candy, and you have no rules.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's what it was like for me, where I had this blend of like, this is so awesome. I have no rules. I can run towards whatever candy I want to eat and eat it. And I did that for a while, and I'm still doing that to some extent, but I think just over time I've just learned like, gosh, I can't keep getting fat on this candy.
Yeah.
I have to have a mindfulness about my actions, about what I'm doing with the time I have left.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's appropriate. Like for me, it was like, oh, I can finally be free to travel. I can finally be free to, yeah, watch these movies, to listen to these podcasts, um, fringe topics, politics, because we were taught to always be not part of the world, so we didn't follow that. So I have a curiosity there, although I don't really get into it. But then I also just like kind of started to, the more and more, to scale back and go like, gosh, I don't want to get full and sick from all this damn candy. So I just learned to try to have balance. I think that's where I consistently kind of land, that middle way, that middle path of balance.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of where I landed, and I still continue to land, where occasionally I really want to get into this, and maybe there's a level of abundance, but then I thankfully reset and try not to go too far. So I don't know. That's kind of when you posed that question, that's kind of what I immediately thought. I don't know if that resonates with you, Trent.
Well, I think that everything in life is cyclical, and you probably hit the peak of one of your cycles around the time that you actually got disassociated, or that you disassociated yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's normal for there to be lulls, after a cycle high point like that. Like that was a huge thing. And I know for me, it took me weeks and months and even years to process what it meant for me to leave,
Yeah.
and it's normal. It lasts different times, but it genuinely, I mean, there were weeks where I was like, what the fuck have I done? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's weeks where I'm like, oh, I'm going to the bar and I'm going to go talk to people at the bar and do whatever the fuck I want. I think it's just a roller coaster.
There is a weird thing when and you won't have this, and so hopefully you've come to terms with your lot in life, Dustin, which I think is great. You have a supportive partner, but like Trent and I were single.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, like, I mean, people listening, if they weren't part of this, like, I mean, for us it was courtship with people that had to come with us. We had
Chaperones.
chaperones.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very hardcore, and I'm sure all of us broke the rules, but but we did have this intense framework, and then it was like, well, if you wanted to have sex, you had to get married,
Yeah.
and so we did that, and then all of a sudden, in a moment, it was like, oh, I don't have these rules anymore. So there was this like weird thing where Trent was mentioning, oh, I can just go to the bar, and it was like that was completely foreign to me, that I could go to a bar and maybe
And pick up a woman?
maybe meet a woman that's
Yeah.
worldly and talk with her.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, you know, that is one thing where it's like, dude, that's a completely different mindset I never had before in life.
Yeah, that honestly, learning how to be single and how to date and stuff consumed like 4 or 5 years of my life, man.
I like to imagine.
Like, and
Jeez.
another thing too, man, is I do think that like you said, when you break through the ocean barrier and you're in the sky for the first time, how overwhelming that must be. All you've known is the ocean, and you break through into the sky, and now you have to learn how to deal with the upper world. And it's completely overwhelming. And I think that there's going to be weeks where it is overwhelming for you, because it was for me,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I found too, there was a few people I used to call, when you start to feel that, the overwhelming, whether it be with, religion or work or just life issues. And they're all JWs.
Yeah. Well, you can call me or Derek, bro, anytime. Where I know we're both good for it.
Yeah. It's just weird because I still catch myself, like, oh, hey, I'm going to call. I'm like, oh shit, I can't call them.
Yeah. Talk about a trigger.
Yeah, I do hope that you can call me anytime. Just as Trent said. Yeah, it's tough, man. It may not be the same advice that you remember getting. It's a different tent to it, but like, yeah, you can always bounce stuff off us. I'm really hoping for better reels. Your reel game that you've been sending has been
I know
horrible.
they fell off.
So
They've fallen off recently. Yeah. Oh,
yeah, I need more dark humor my way,
yes.
please.
I shall
But
get some. Yeah.
but so the family's doing okay. The kiddos are doing okay. Janelle's doing okay. And you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Like, is there stuff that you're really battling with, or are things okay?
Yeah. I think the things are okay, but yet there are some things to battle with. I think there's just issues within that I've had within myself that now I
Mhm.
can see them clearly, and I'm gonna have to deal with them.
Yeah.
And I think that also comes to the part that gets a little bit overwhelming because not only have you lost your faith and in your whole foundation of a world, but you'll also kind of lose some of that on the inside too. With those
Yeah.
battles,
Mhm.
which
Just not being able to call one of your friends is like can be a big
oh yeah,
thing. Just one friend.
hmm
Losing one support system can be a huge loss, and then you've lost probably dozens, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But I also do. I mean, every day I still look around. I'm like, wow, this is all you can have. All of this, none of it's off. You don't have that off limits feel anymore. At least I don't.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can look across and say, you know what, I could be friends with all of these people.
Hmm.
Not that I
And
want
then
to.
you go like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
yeah,
want to.
exactly. But it's just so bizarre. Yeah, to just not of not having that there anymore. Yeah, it's just a lot of new feelings.
What are you, along those lines, new feelings? What are you the most excited about and hopeful this next year? Like, do you guys have any plans? Any big travel trips?
It'll be
Just kind of connective
yeah,
things.
it'll be our 25th anniversary. I
Wow.
know. Well,
Congrats,
thank you.
man. When is that?
Uh, when is it? Oh gosh, I think it's the June 28th. Yeah, or July 28th.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, July, not June.
One of the
Yeah, one
J's.
of the J's. Um, But
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So it'll be 25 years. So I'll probably go out and do some of that.
So 25 years together as a witness,
Yeah,
and then 1 year together as free folk.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, it's
Mm. So you're gonna go to a brothel
we're gonna go to
together.
a brothel. Yeah,
You guys are gonna experiment with thruples and just kind of really dive into the S&M culture.
oh, for sure. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah.
First time orgies. Yeah, it's shit. Let's go.
It's all the French topics. Nothing's off limits.
No.
Man, I sense a heaviness about you today, and I am here for you, but I also want to let you know, just like we've said to other people and just the general public, it does get better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it may be a hard week or a hard month, but you're going to be processing a lot over the next 6 months or a year, and it's all part of it, man. And you just got to grit through it and have the bad days.
Yeah.
hmm
I've called Derek so many times having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month, and you just got to lean on the support systems, man.
yeah,
I think it's the guy stuff too. Like if you feel like you can't reach out to someone, just like, dude, I don't have answers, but I'll listen.
yeah. That's one thing I found out too. Like with my therapist, when I was growing up, I was never allowed to basically have emotion. I was,
Yeah.
and that's a whole other side. That's not necessarily a Jehovah's Witness thing. That was just Mike Jetmore. Um,
Yeah.
but so I was never allowed to have emotion, and coming, and removing the Jehovah's Witness stuff, going through therapy, and that's one thing that's been really brought to light uh, to me is I got to learn how to voice pain
Yeah.
because it doesn't come naturally, and it's very hard to voice it. Just pain, depression, anxiety. A lot of those. I just found I had bottled that up for quite a long time through my life.
You have a voice about you. Like people resonate with you. You're very open. It doesn't feel like there's many off limits topics. You're very free about yourself, and I think that's refreshing for people to hear. That you're willing to do that, and I would challenge you, like, find your expression in your pain and your suffering.
hmm
However that could be. If it's journaling, if it's attaching to art projects, find your way to express it, even if it's like when you get more into your mindfulness and meditating, like what pain am I feeling today, what feeling am I feeling today, let me have 10 minutes to just sit with this sadness.
Yeah,
And I guarantee you, the more you sit with it, however you choose to do so, this is just my opinion. Maybe Trent has a different one, and others listening as well, if they want to chime in, and send us messages. Um, Whatever works for you, you're going to find your way. I tried journaling. It wasn't for me, but I did try it. I gave it an honest try. Um, but yeah, whenever you find the one that works for you, you're going to have this enlightenment of like, finally, I found my shit. I found my thing,
yeah,
and I can finally just cry this out, man.
hmm
I can say that I have been at the same, like, more emotional, but also less emotional in ways now that I've left.
yeah,
And like, I felt so helpless before, and it would fuck with me. And I feel helpless now because I can help myself, and it's just hard sometimes to help myself on a bad day. So I don't know, man.
Trent's talked about it too. He's talked about the ego death.
Yeah.
We have to constantly work on that, especially as men and men that were raised Jehovah's Witnesses. And some days you win that battle and you lower your ego and you just allow whatever. And other days you're right back at it,
yeah,
you know. But
hmm
I think the first step is your awareness, which we talked about last time, is what's got you here. So you just got to keep going with your intuition.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I'm so thankful we wanted to check back in with you because, just like last time, you're in a very unique situation, man. And I don't think you understand the power of your voice where you're at now to be vulnerable and reflect on this current moment. As I guarantee you, over time, people will find these podcasts with you talking and to be like, I'm right there.
Yeah.
I'm right where he's at right now, feeling those exact same things, and I'm glad that I can resonate.
Hmm. No, well, exactly. Trent, you hit it on the head. Yeah, it's been really heavy. There's just a lot of things, um, just on my mind. It's I don't think everybody goes through this, maybe, um, but I go through and I'm reassessing all of my decisions, or all of my parameters, and just going through all that. But it gets very exhausting sometimes, because sometimes I can find myself getting so wrapped up in it and going through it and okaying this and, well, should I feel this way about that? I don't know. And then I get like, what the fuck am I doing? And you're so mentally exhausted, and it kind of gets confusing sometimes. You know, you're
Yeah.
like, God damn, I don't want to like think about any of this right now.
I'm right where you are right now, but just about non-witness shit.
Uh huh.
Like, I'm feeling that right now with my work, with my personal life. Like, I took a few weeks off pod because I just needed some time to regroup.
Yeah.
And bro, some people go to work and they make their food and they watch their show and they go to bed and that's all they think about. I don't know how people do that.
I'm there with you. I don't either. Yeah.
For me, I'm constantly
Hmm.
thinking. I'm constantly turning things over in my head. I'm replaying the bad decisions that I made and how to not make them again. I'm thinking about my tax bill that's coming up next year because I'm just stressed about it.
Yeah.
Because I own my own business too. And what I've had to do lately is not learn how to meditate. It's how to just shut the fuck up on the inside of my brain.
Yeah. Shut that
Hmm.
brain off. Yeah.
And I think I've shared before, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a recovered or recovering alcoholic, but I used to drink so much alcohol just to shut my brain off because it tortured me.
Amen to that.
Now I'm raw dogging it
Hmm.
and it sucks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I had just this last 2 weeks, I woke up every single morning with the same three problems at the very first thing when I wake up. I can't even have a moment's of peace. I
Yeah.
just right
Yeah.
away, as soon as I wake up, these three problems on loop all the time.
Well, I think you said it, Trent, where you're like, meditation doesn't work for me. So it's like
Hmm.
you have to search to find what works for you, you know?
Yeah, and I'm still searching, dude.
Yeah.
How long you been dry or not drinking?
April 21st, 2023.
Okay.
I think like 850 some
Uh huh.
days. It's funny because I I haven't told this story on pod before, but the reason it's April 21st is, oh, when was I'd have to look up and see when I got fucking drunk on Memorial wine. I was like, I
Wow.
forget why I bought it. I think I was like privately gonna do Memorial, like just my family was
You're
trying
going
to
to
get me
get
to go.
drunk on the blood of Christ.
Oh, I got so fucked up on like 2 or 3 bottles of wine, and then I was like, and it was also 420, so I was just, like, living a day of debauchery the day before I became sober, and so I woke up on the 21st, and I was like, "Okay, I got drunk on the memorial wine, I smoked my last whatever, like, I'm good."
Was that the last time?
Yeah, I've
Wow. Good for you.
so my rule is I don't have anything over
Uh huh.
0.05% alcohol, which is like a kombucha.
Yeah.
I'll allow myself to have anything up to a kombucha in alcohol.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't had a drop. I haven't had a relapse at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because I've had to completely learn how to deal with my insufferable, always on brain without alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's an honest admission, Trent. I think the reality is sometimes you talk and you're like, "Hey, we're good." And the reality is it's a constant flux.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what I'm learning.
we're good, we're bad, we're good, we're bad. It's a constant flow of like trying to reassess, trying to regather, trying to regroup.
Yeah.
And so I think podcast listeners are appreciative of your honest submission, Trent, because we're only human, man. We're just trying to figure this shit out.
Yep.
And just talking this shit out also means that we're not always gonna have answers.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just talking, man. It's like we're trying to figure this out, and we're doing it, publicly, and we're thankful for people that are listening. And it goes again back to that mindset of Trent. People hearing you will go, awesome. He's not perfect like me.
Good for you for being.
Yeah. I'm definitely not.
That's a hard one to quit.
It is, man. My dad and his dad and his dad and his dad were all
And my
shining
dad.
examples of alcoholics. I mean, I'll tell you stories off pod about some of the shit I've been through because of alcoholism.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm thankful I didn't get that bug, because my brother got it, my dad got it. It's really something there that people can drink and
Oh yeah.
and that it just gets to them. And I've always been able to drink. I've been able to socially drink. I've been able to, and then just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
yeah, not me, brother.
Yeah, I know. I was always kind of like,
Because I was always trying to quiet my mind.
yeah, if 3's good, 15 are better.
Yeah.
You know?
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you have any kind of final words? Anything you want to close out with? Anything for Trent and I? Anything for the listeners? Again, we're just thankful to have you back, and we do hope that every once in a while we can check back in with you, because we love talking with you about this, and we're appreciative.
Yeah, I would. I mean, still for me, it's still very exciting getting into all this. But with it comes with all these things. Especially being the age and having a family and whatnot. So a lot comes with it. But this whole journey has been worth every second of it. And to have mental freedom, you can't put a price on that. It's $144,000 for people. Yeah, but it's been one of the most fantastic things. I wish I would have figured it out when I was 19, but I didn't. So, and I think these podcasts help. They helped me a ton, and they still help me a ton. And yeah, if it helps anybody else out there, shoot.
Trent, anything for you want to close out with?
No, other than I feel you, dude. I'm sensing your vibe and your heaviness, and I feel it totally. I think it's normal for where you're at. I think it's going to take time, but I think in like 2 years you'll be feeling a lot better.
Yeah. Well, I'll bug you guys more.
Yeah, by all means, man. I'm a text away, and then if you want to chat, just say hey, and I'll definitely get back to you when I have a moment.
And I work for myself, so you can call me whenever,
Right
bro.
on.
Yeah, so it's good to know. I know me personally, it's good to know, to have people to bounce stuff off of, because we've talked about it. You just when you lose people, man, and you're used to having people to bounce ideas off and just
Mm-hmm.
be vulnerable. You had old bros and old friends to be vulnerable with, where you're not going to be judged about looking like a fool or saying something stupid. And when you lose that, it sucks. So we're here for you, man. And again, we're very appreciative. Thanks for allowing us to speak with you again, and just be in this kind of vulnerable space. I know I hear it from listeners, and any listeners, please send messages over to Dustin, to Trent, and myself, because it really keeps us going. People may not realize it, but this is quite the process to do a podcast. And so
it's nice to hear the kind words. Derek filled me in on a couple of them, and it just makes me feel good. Thank you guys.
Yeah, it keeps us going for sure. So thank you again for everyone for listening. Thank you, Dustin.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Trent.
Thank you, Derek.
And we look forward to talking with you guys real soon.
Goodbye. Thank you for joining us on this journey in this era. If you found today's episode valuable, please share it with someone who might need it. Check the podcast description for our socials and other information.
Please consider supporting us at Patreon at patreon.com/culturepod. If you'd like to tell your story, please contact us at cult.chur.pod@gmail.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay free.